A piece of land is nothing until a human occupies it. And when a human occupies it, a human will determine what that piece of territory and that piece of land is. That's why you can have a building, and once a doctor walks into it, it can become a hospital. You can have a baker, and when a baker walks into the same building, that building becomes a bakery. You can have a cook or a chef walk into the same building, and that building becomes a restaurant. And therefore, it is not the building that defines itself, but rather the person in the building that defines it. So if the church is just defined by a building, we've strongly diminished who the church truly is. It is the people who enter the building. And when we understand the people as the church, then we'll understand the church can be whatever it needs to be wherever it is, because where Christ is, there the church is. So if you show up to the toilet, it becomes the church. If you show up to a warehouse, it becomes a church. Wherever you go and you occupy, that becomes the church. Wouldn't it be amazing when people begin to realize that they represent the power and the presence of God, where everywhere they go, Christ occupies? So the boardroom now, when the CEO has been filled with the Holy Spirit, the boardroom becomes the church. The teacher's lounge becomes the church. Yes. The nurse's lounge becomes the church. The hospital becomes the church, because now that person is occupying with the presence of God in that location. We need to stop thinking of the church as a location. The church is not a building. The church is not stained glass and a steeple. The church is the people. That's what defines the church. And if people aren't in it, it is not a church. If people of God, if they are not in it, it's not a church. Did you know? Stay with me, fam. Did you know that beautiful church you see across the street with the stained glass and the steeple and the cross on top of it, you know when nobody's there, it's not a church? Because that building isn't a church. No, the building is not a church. The people, that is the church. And so where the people occupy, that's when it becomes a church. So until people show up in it who are filled with the Holy Spirit, it is not a church.